No pressure.
Well,
All
no,
right.
so, so just a couple of quick things, just so you know. We use what's called bat insulation out here because this is an unconditioned space. So we use bat insulation here. On the inside walls, we have block. They have their own R value, so we don't use this. We don't use bat insulation there. Quick little information that is good to know because later on down the line, we may see a little drywall or something to make it look a little off. We have to put on protective nail plates over, plumbing pipes and electrical lines like you see here. Sometimes it causes the drywall to have a slight little, it doesn't look perfectly straight because of the protective measures we have to take. But that's just, so that you know. This stuff down here is what's called fire rated caulk, this red, slash the foam that's on the bottom. We use that on any single penetration that could possibly run up through walls and through valleys. And the reason that we do it is we're trying to slow down the rate of fire. So, so if you think about it, if the house is on fire, God forbid, and you had to run outside and you're nervous, we want to slow that fire down as much as possible until emergency services get here. So it's really about making sure that we build a house as tight as possible. I apologize about the mess. I just got to this community.
No, it's all good. It's a construction zone.
Well, I know, but normally I like my houses to be clean, and this is not clean, and I will make sure to have this place clean before the drywall goes up.
Okay.
But yeah, so just just a basic idea on the construction of the home. Every single floor, every single wall is made up of what's called a bottom plate, a top plate. See that one that runs this way? Yeah. Any stud that runs from the bottom all the way to the top is what's called a king stud. This is what's called a header, a door header. And this one here that runs up and holds the header is called a jack stud. Okay, anything that touches concrete or touches block has to be what's called PT, pressure treated wood. Okay, so as you can see, it's all green. Anywhere that touches those areas are green. Okay. And you can actually see in here as well. It's a good thing to see is you see where the slab was poured. Okay, they recess it a little bit for the garage floor, and then this is where your block starts. So this is basically what it's like on the outside as well before it gets stuck up. Okay. Okay, let's take a peek in here and I'll show you. Again, the mess is a little annoying, but.
No worries. Kneesing up here for me, okay?
It's aggravating. One thing to keep in mind, okay? A couple of, important little notes. In here, this is going to be where your laundry is. Okay. So basically, this is your dryer vent. So everything, all the air that's going to be coming out of the dryer, it's going to run up this way and out through your roof that way. And as you can see, we seal the penetrations everywhere. This is obviously your electrical outlets for it. This is going to be your hot, your cold, and your drain for your washing machine. So basically, there'll be two supply lines coming out of here into your washer. Your drain line will go in here. We have to keep pressure gauges on them until we pass inspections and all that, which we have. We obviously passed frame inspection already and insulation inspections today. You might see that guy just pop in here if he hasn't already. So as you can see it here as well, every single penetration where wires, whether it's a thermostat wire like this, so this is going to be where your AC, where you'll adjust the temperature on it. Okay, that'll be right here. And then you can see everything is, any penetration that could possibly get through, we have to seal it.
That's a foam? What is that?
It's fire rated foam.
Fire rated foam.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can tell by the coloring, right? So if they were just to use regular foam, it's like a yellow. But fire rated is like that red, red, dark, orange, however you want to. But it looks, kind of more reddish. Some of the things that I keep an eye out for, some of the walls, what happens is, again, you have the bottom plate and then you have your studs. So this is what actually can cause a door to have an illusion of being off a little bit, or a drywall to be off a little bit. So if this stud, like these warp a little bit, it's just yellow pine. So if it warps a little bit with the heat, we got no AC in here yet, right? So the temperatures, fluctuate. So in other words, we're going to be going from what it's like now, where the house is open a little bit, little breeze coming through. So we're going to have drywall in here, and then we're going to be starting to do our trims. So basically, the way the house is built, after we pour our slab, which again, plumbing lines and electrical lines run underneath the ground before we pour. After that's done, we frame, and then we do what's called our penetrations. So that is our plumbing and our HVAC, because they penetrate the roof. So we do them first, and then we do our electrical and low volt after that. Once those are all done, all those rough mechanicals are done, we have them individually inspected, then we have a frame inspection, then we have the insulation inspection. And the good thing to know, we also have a third-party inspector. So it's not just like we're passing county. We have to pass county frame, and we have to pass third-party frame. So it's a little bit tricky, because, you know, different inspectors have different standards. They may question something that another one doesn't, and we're just double checking, protecting ourselves and the homeowner.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make sure that when you guys are in here, you don't have to worry about any issues going forward. You will have, and we'll talk more in depth about these things once it comes down to your orientation. Your orientation, you know, I'll be walking it with you. We're going to go over everything, how your plumbing works, how your AC works, the best way to maintain it, how your grading in the back works. You know, we'll literally go through everything, and any questions that you have, I'll be more than happy to answer at that time as well. But it's a good time to get in here. And again, I like to show people because, you know, you see like this like stud. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll twist a little bit, and then what happens is they put the drywall up, and they're not going to go straighten out. If there's like a 2x4 that's a little bit twisted, they're not going to take the time. They're just throwing up their sheets. And then what happens? Excuse me. Then what happens is they finish. Trim guy comes in, excuse me, trim guy comes in, he puts in his base and his casings, his door jambs, and if the wall has, if the 2x has a little bit of a bump to it, it'll reflect with the baseboard, you'll see it, you know what I mean? But it's nothing too bad, but people always wonder, and I always like to kind of point it out now ahead of time. The way that they hang the sheets is they do the ceilings first. You can see up here you have your ventilation. This is your pre-wire for your electrical. So if you want to mount a fan or anything like that, that would go there. And you're going to notice when they do the AC trim out, all the louvers for the vents, what they're supposed to do is aim across the ceiling and down an exterior wall. And again, this is something we'll discuss more at orientation, so that I can really give you an idea of kind of what's going to work best for your home going forward, and you know what is not. Just best practices, that type of thing.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure, yeah.
For the pipes. So, you know, there's a big talk about copper pipes versus these are
just, so these are CPVC, and we
PVC?
don't, copper, I'm from Boston, and from where I'm from, we always use, we always use copper lines. But the flex lines nowadays is what everybody's going with, and they are to code, and, you know, so that's what they use. Everything got its pros and its cons.
Yes, sir.
Yep. So,
okay.
But that's the standard of what they're building with now. The good thing about these homes, as you can see, you know, if you want to just be careful, peek through here.
Walking through walls.
Yeah, walking through walls in here. If you did want to remove this, you can see it's simply just, you know, you obviously have to take down drywall.
Yeah.
And this is another thing that happens too, is, you know, they go and drywall over this, and you can see the slip. So it creates a little bit, they got to put the drywall here, then corner bead, you know, and then that's how they finish off the wall. But you can see where things start to push on the drywall and make it where it would have a little bit of an illusion of being crooked, you know what I mean? Not really crooked. I go out of my way to try to make them as flat as possible. But you can see where it is. This is your shower head. Normally, like the standard for shower heights is between like 70 and 78 inches for your shower head. And they want to make sure you can kind of reach at it and all that. This is your exhaust vent for the bathroom. So it runs from here, and you can see where it runs all the way out to the roof, and it's sealed right there where it penetrates the OSB. So that's a good thing. And this is a good time to take a few pictures. Because if you're ever wondering how your AC system is running and where it's branching off to and how it's spider webs, like here it is right here. You know, you can get a good look at it. And obviously here will be you'll have a double vanity here. So basically it's red hot, and the white one's the cold line, and then this is the drain line. Yeah.
Cool.
So pretty, and then obviously toilet room, and this would be for waste, and this is your water supply line to the toilet. And as you can see, we have these braces here, so that what it's basically doing is protecting the you know, the lines from getting hit with screws when they add, you know, drywall and all that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep. And trying to think of what else there is. It's not making. I don't want to walk through that way, just so we're not catching anything. Just don't want you guys to get hurt. Just be careful. Sometimes they tag up. They'll leave like layouts on the walls, and they hit them in with nails.
Sure.
So just be careful.
All good.
There you go. Okay. So in here, kitchen. Obviously, you can see now this is going to be for your oven. Okay. So this is going to be a wire that's going to be here. And you will have, this is our blocking that we put in for our cabinets. It's okay, so it just makes it so that, again, if you're looking for something to screw into, you know, what we do, and I used to do custom kitchens and bathrooms, and I had my own company building additions and whatnot, and I used to go crazy with this stuff. I used to take 2x8s, 2x10s, and I would fill up as much of this area as I could, so that when you're putting up your wall cabinets,
You have something to
you put
hang
two
on.
screws in the top and the bottom. You want to make sure that they're symmetrical and so that they look, you know, proportionate when you're screwing them in. So this gives them something to make sure that they're fastened properly. And this is going to be for your microwave. Okay, this will be a switch. Yes, lovely block. This will be a switch for inside the closet. You'll have a little light up here.
Pantry.
And
Snack closet in Macon.
yeah. And your water line for your refrigerator is here. We tape it off, obviously, before drywall and all that. But this is your ice maker line. This is the water that supplies it. Another thing to look at. It's always good. And again, I apologize about this mess.
No worries.
Well, what's frustrating to me is I've been here, I think, 3.5 weeks now, and I came in here right when they were finishing frame, and I was getting the rough mechanicals going, and you know, I kind of had to yell at a few guys about the trash, and then here I am, and you know, so now what I'm going to have to do is take pictures, and I'm going to have to find some people, and you know, it's going to be fun.
Lay down the law.
Yeah, I'm going to have to
It's
lay
like when you
down.
finish, just clean up.
Well, I mean, it's simple, and that's why I always tell them, you know, if you walk into a home and it's clean, leave it clean. Just clean up after yourself. I mean, it's simple stuff. But trying to get that through to these guys is like, you know, you need a sledgehammer to get it through to them.
Oh,
and they
good.
think that we're, you know, they don't. It's like we know who's using these particular nails. We know who's like, you know what I mean? It's like they think they're rocket scientists that are going to get away with it, but they're not going to.
Evidence is here.
It's there. Yep. So as you can see here, this is your SGD, your sliding glass door. We obviously do a recess where we lay the track for the bottom of the door. And then what they do is when they're laying in the door, they just patch this area here. This is one thing to kind of keep in mind, okay? So on this wall and all these exterior walls, you have block and then you have PT, which is again that, you know, yep, pressure treated wood. So this is 3/4 of an inch thick. Okay, you're gonna have 1/2 inch drywall going here. Okay, so if you do, I don't think we add the blinds for the sliding glass door in our package. So when you do decide to put something, let's say you want to do it yourself, it's a good idea to get a picture of where this stuff is now. Like right here, it ends here, in here. Okay, so you might want to come a little bit past it with your slider. Just keep in mind, again, when you're doing whatever screws you use for the sliding glass door blind, they can't be longer than 1.25 inches. Okay, because you got 3/4 of an inch on your PT, and then you got a 1/2 inch on your drywall. If you go any further than that, it's gonna start spinning itself out on the block, and then
You don't want that.
you don't want that. Yep. So you just want to make sure you use those. That's all. And again, those are baffles up there. Now, just so you know what they also do. So the process kind of works like this. You know, we have stucco. The windows are in. We start hanging drywall now. Once the exterior of the home gets painted, we put on our soffits and fascia. Okay, you already have a roof drip edge. It's already dried in. But once the soffits and fascia go up, then we can go up and we can blow in insulation through the top of the, all up in this space up here. Okay, it's usually I think 14 inches or so. There's, you'll see little, like right up there, you see the measure here?
Yeah.
So they're letting you know, that when they get in here and they're filling it, they need to go to a specific height. I believe it's 14 inches.
Yep.
12 to 14. It does dissipate a little bit over time. So like you'll come in here, originally it'll be nice and fluffed up and it'll be good. Then over time, it'll maybe dissipate an inch, inch and a half, something like that, but it's nothing to really worry about. What you do want to keep in mind, if anyone goes, let's say you want to add a light, you know, you want to do something else where someone else has to go into this crawl space up here and try to work their way through.
Like a can lighting or something, you know?
Yeah, so this is what's called a rat run, these two 2x4s that kind of overlap like this way. And they're meant so, you know, like a little rat run in case someone gets up here and wants to go work in there. But let's say you wanted to put a light here, okay? And he works his way over here and he starts removing all the blown-in insulation. Now you're creating a spot that might not be, you know, it might not hold your R value as well. So if you do have someone go up in there to work, just make sure when they're done, just to kind of push the insulation back to where it was, and then, you know, kind of work their way out that way, just so that you optimize your R value of your home.
That you're recording this.
I know, right?
He's a handyman,
Yeah.
so yeah.
It's good to know these things.
Yes,
It
No,
is.
and if he has any questions, you know, again, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Yeah.
And help any way I can. This stuff drives me.
That's the beauty of of building a new house, because you know where everything is, how stuff works.
Yeah. It's important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so, and this is another thing again. The reason I show you guys these things, so when these windows go in, we have to make sure that the window's secure, and, you know, so that this is a bottom sash. This is fixed glass up here. So in order for this to work properly, we have to make sure that it's secured properly here. And what they do is they add shims. So a lot of times they'll cut this stuff out as much as they can before they put the drywall. But if they're just gonna go over this with drywall, you'll see like a little bit, like these can just be broken off, okay? Because what this meant to do is provide a space back there, okay? So as long as they're to this point, we should be okay. But when the guys are doing the drywall, it's important that we try to get what's called the drywall return as flush as possible. And again, when we get further into like the orientation, when you guys move in, you know, I'm sure if he's a handyman, I'm sure he'll know. But you know, with these windows, they're really good to have. I mean, they have these channels here. You just simply pull them in, release them, bring the window back towards you if you want to clean it. I always tell
You can
people.
clean from the inside.
Yes,
Great.
I always tell people, make sure that you're keeping the weight centered here in the middle of the sash, because, sorry, this thing is difficult to speak. The weight you want to try to keep here, because every single bottom sash has a metal pivot on the bottom, and what it does is it goes into what's called a U-clip inside of here, inside of the window, and it basically rotates as the window opens and closes. If I were to push on one side opposed to the other and then try to shut the window, it would create a problem. So you always really want to make sure that this weight stays centered, balanced in the middle here. And then when you go back up, again, you re-engage these in, let go, just kind of use your finger to feel to make sure that it's in that channel there, up, down, and then when you're locking, it's simply pushing in here this way to the middle, okay? Right now, we don't have to really sweat it as much, but it's just, again, these are all things that we'll go over. And just so you know, these ones here, so you can see the screw holes on the bottom sash, we can't add caps on the bottom because it interferes with the function of the sash. But on the top, we do add little caps here that kind of hide the screws all through here. And when they do that, it's what's called screen out. So near the end, before you guys move in, we'll add the screens. And the reason we don't do them too early is we don't want them to get dirty and beat up. So we really wait until, you know, a little further along in the process, and then we take care of those. But that's basically it. I mean, this is going to be your living room, so I always tell people, if you're ever thinking about, you know, adding a TV or wall-mounted TV and something along those lines, it's a good time to, you know, take a look and see where the studs are and maybe measure. I mean, you could even take a tape measure. I mean, you can do this after the fact, but it's kind of, you know, once the drywall goes up, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. I know he is thinking about hanging the CD up on the wall.
Yeah, so I'll take a couple pictures here of this as well.
But yes, it's just, you know, so you can see the spacing. Okay, so you will want kind of an easy way to remember it. You have an outlet here.
Oh, and out, yeah.
You have a stud on the left of it. You have an outlet here, and you have a stud on the left of it. So vertically level to where those points are, you'll always have wood right there. Yep. But that's about it. You know, you guys have any questions?